Welcome to the Timeless Talents channel. In this video, I'll be highlighting some of the most captivating Hollywood mothers and their gorgeous daughters. Enjoy the show, and be sure to subscribe for more amazing content. Diana Rigg passed away in 2020 at the age of 82, and Rachel Sterling, 48 years old. Glenn Close, 78 years old, and Annie Stark, 37 years old. Jane Fonda, 87 years old, and Vanessa Vadim, 56 years old. Joan Crawford passed away in 1977 at the age of 71, and Christina Crawford, 86 years old. Janet Leigh passed away in 2004 at the age of 77, and Jamie Lee Curtis, 66 years old. Julie Andrews, 89 years old, and Emma Walton Hamilton, 62 years old. Kim Basinger, 71 years old, and I. Reland Baldwin, 29 years old. Lucille Ball passed away in 1989 at the age of 77, and Lucy Arnaz, 74 years old. Priscilla Presley, 80 years old, and Lisa Marie Presley passed away in 2023 at the age of 54. Rosie O'Donnell, 63 years old, and Vivienne Rose O'Donnell, 22 years old. Emma Thompson, 66 years old, and Gaia Wise, 25 years old. Joan Collins, 92 years old, and Tara Newley, 61 years old. Lauren Bacall passed away in 2014 at the age of 89, and Leslie Howard Bogart, 72 years old. Molly Ringwald, 57 years old, and Adele Georgiana Giannopoulos, 16 years old. Judi Dench, 90 years old, and Fine T. Williams, 52 years old. Alyssa Milano, 52 years old, and Elisabella Dillon Bugliari, 10 years old. Christina Applegate, 53 years old, and Sadie Grace Lenoble, 14 years old. Elizabeth Taylor passed away in 2011 at the age of 79, and Liza Todd, 68 years old. Heidi Klum, 52 years old, and Leni Olumi Klum, 21 years old. Jane Seymour, 74 years old, and Catherine Flynn, 43 years old. Julia Roberts, 57 years old, and Hazel Motter, 20 years old. Kelly Clarkson, 43 years old, and River Rose Blackstock, 11 years old. Laura Dern, 58 years old, and Jaya Harper, 20 years old. Linda Carter, 74 years old, and Jessica Altman, 34 years old. Olivia Newton-John passed away in 2022 at the age of 73, and Chloe Rose Latanzi, 39 years old. Sissy Spacek, 75 years old, and Schuyler Fisk, 43 years old. Alfre Woodard, 72 years old, and Mavis Spencer, 34 years old. Candice Bergen, 79 years old, and Chloe Malle, 39 years old. Sybil Shepherd, 75 years old, and Clementine Ford, 46 years old. Felicity Huffman, 62 years old, and Sophia Grace Macy, 25 years old. Grace Kelly passed away in 1982 at the age of 52, and Princess Caroline of Monaco, 68 years old. Janie Mansfield passed away in 1967 at the age of 34, and Mariska Hargitay, 61 years old. Judy Garland passed away in 1969 at the age of 47, and Lorna Luft, 72 years old. Katie Sagal, 71 years old, and Sarah Grace, 31 years old. Kira Sedgwick, 60 years old, and Sosie Bacon, 33 years old. Mary Steenburgen, 72 years old, and Lily McDowell, 44 years old. Natalie Wood passed away in 1981 at the age of 43, and Natasha Gregson Wagner, 54 years old. Rita Hayworth passed away in 1987 at the age of 68, and Yasmin Aga Khan, 75 years old. Amy Adams, 51 years old, and Aviana Olea Gallo, 14 years old. Kate Blanchett, 56 years old, and Edith Vivian Patricia Upton, 10 years old. Diane Ladd, 89 years old, and Laura Dern, 58 years old. Gabrielle Union, 52 years old, and Kaavia James Union Wade, 6 years old. Helen Hunt, 62 years old, and McKenna Lake Carnahan, 21 years old. Jessica Lange, 76 years old, and Alexandra Shura Lange Baryshnikova, 44 years old. Kathy Hilton, 66 years old, and Paris Hilton, 44 years old. Kylie Jenner, 28 years old, and Stormy Webster, 7 years old. Marcia Gay Harden, 66 years old, and Julita D. Harden-Skeel, 21 years old. Patricia Arquette, 57 years old, and Harlow Olivia Calliope Jane, 22 years old. Annette Bening, 67 years old, and Ella Beatty, 25 years old. Ava Mendes, 51 years old, and Esmeralda Amada Gosling, 10 years old. Ingrid Bergman passed away in 1982 at the age of 67, and Isabella Rossellini, 73 years old. Jennifer Love Hewitt, 46 years old, and Autumn James Hallisey, 11 years old. Kate Winslet, 49 years old, and Maya Threppleton, 24 years old. Christine Davis, 60 years old, and Gemma Rose Davis, 14 years old. Liv Tyler, 48 years old, and Lola Rose Gardner, 8 years old. Mila Jovovich, 49 years old, and Ever Anderson, 17 years old. Robin Wright, 59 years old, and Dylan Francis Penn, 34 years old. Angela Bassett, 67 years old, and Bronwyn Golden Vance, 19 years old. Christina Aguilera, 44 years old, and Summer Rain Rutler, 11 years old. Denise Richards, 54 years old, and Lola Rose Sheen, 20 years old. Gillian Anderson, 57 years old, and Piper Muru Klotz, 30 years old. Hilary Duff, 37 years old, and Banks Violet Bear, 6 years old. Kate Hudson, 46 years old, and Ronnie Rose Hudson Fujikawa, 6 years old. Kim Kardashian, 44 years old, and Northwest, 12 years old. Leslie Mann, 53 years old, and Maud Apatow, 27 years old. Melanie Janine Brown, 50 years old, and Phoenix Chi Gulzar, 26 years old. Peggy Lipton passed away in 2019 at the age of 72, and Kidada Jones, 51 years old. Sigourney Weaver, 75 years old, and Charlotte Simpson, 35 years old. Beyonce, 43 years old, and Blue Ivy Carter, 13 years old. Christine Baranski, 73 years old, and Lily Cowles, 37 years old. Gloria Estefan, 67 years old, and Emily Estefan, 30 years old. Jaclyn Smith, 79 years old, and Spencer Margaret Richmond, 39 years old. Renee Russo, 71 years old, and Rose Gilroy, 31 years old.